We all know we can't solve the math problem without the formula. And we know we can't garden or grow vegetables without, the proper nutrients and light and water. And we all know that without the missing ingredient, we are not going to be able to make grandma's special cookies. And yet, what we don't know is that our brain was designed to keep us safe. The intelligence of our brain. And that is the part of us that has not evolved. As a human species, it is so easy to get in your own way when you crave freedom. What if I gave you a permission slip that said, your job is to feel good? And what if I told you that the better you feel, the bigger impact you can make in the world? And in fact, that is the magical parenting strategy that we've all been searching for. Hey, I'm Heather Chauvin, wife, mother of 3 boys, former social worker, breadwinner, recovering hustler, and stage 4 cancer survivor. Beyond all of these titles and labels, I'm a human being just like you, attempting to navigate it all while feeling good. My goal on this show is to show you that you can live an energized, sustainable life both at home and at work. My attempt is to keep it real with stories, interviews, and random thoughts. This is not a business or career podcast, and it's not a parenting podcast. It's both and so much more. You will laugh, you will cry, and you may even get a little frustrated with the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I believe all human behavior is a language, whether it's through your children, your health, or your relationships. And when you learn to listen instead of react, we begin to understand what it truly means to feel alive and in control. It's time to ditch self-sacrifice and step into your brave zone. Hey everyone, I'm back, and today I'm really excited to share today's podcast. I did a live coaching last week, Sunday, for those of you who attended the Get Out of Your Own Way mini course. And the whole essence of getting out of your own way is teaching my philosophy around feeling in control of your life as a woman and as a mother and an ambitious human. I truly believe today in my life, at my core, that it is your birthright to feel good. It is your birthright to be abundant. It is your birthright to thrive. But what happens is we get in our own way. And how do we do that? We do this through how we were raised. We do this through our conditioning, our habits. We do this through the beliefs and the stories that we pick up along the way of who we need to be. And by the time you become a mother, and then, the mama bear in you kicks in, and there's this natural, intuitive drive that goes sometimes on hyperdrive, we lose ourselves. And we think it's okay. It's one day at a time. It's one action at a time, until one day you wake up and you're thinking, this is hard. This is challenging. I'm suffering. I feel empty. I feel drained. And that's energetic emptiness. And our mind and all of the things that people cannot see outside of us looking at us. They're like, oh, she looks like she's got her shit together. But inside, you might also feel, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. And when I open my bank account, I don't have enough money. I feel trapped. I'm trying so hard to really understand my children. I'm doing the work. I'm trying so hard. So hard. I was there and I almost died because of it. You're intelligent. You are an intelligent woman. And yet getting out of your own way is something we are not taught in school. We are definitely not taught in post-secondary education. This is a personal development journey. You can have a PhD in psychology and still get in your own way, because this is integrative practice. This is knowing the tool, but implementing the tool. So I'm excited for you to listen to today's conversation. I did a live coaching with Jody, who I said is a brave and courageous woman, because I truly believe that when we step up to the microphone, when we step up to the plate, when we raise our hand and we tell our stories and our challenges, other people might go, oh my gosh, I remember being there, or I'm there too. But you're definitely never alone. So huge shout out to Jody and the additional conversations that we had. We talked about resistance. We talked about going for what you want. We talked about our resistance to feeling good. And on that conversation, I also talked about Courageous Rewrite, which is starting on January 28th. And we would love for you to join us. And as an added bonus this week, if you register before Friday at midnight Eastern Standard Time, and that's Friday, January 15th, we are donating $100 for every person that registers to a local women's center that helps women with addiction. The reason why I'm doing this is because I am a huge believer in women helping women rise. And I also do not believe the story we tell ourselves that by giving to yourself, you're taking away from someone else. Because when you have more, you can give more. So this week, by investing in yourself, you are also investing in another woman, helping her become a greater version of herself. As we climb the ladder together, we are bringing other people with us. We are showing them that there is a different way to be. So enjoy yourself, listen, and if you want to join us in Courageous Rewrite, head on over to heatherchauvin.com/CR Courageous Rewrite CR 2021. heatherchauvin.com/CR 2021. You are not alone. And in order to get out of your own way, you have to raise your hand and say, I am willing. I am willing to get out of my own way. I am willing to become. I am willing to grow and learn. So I look forward to seeing you on the inside and diving into today's conversation. Okay. The people that I truly respect, like my mentors, are people that do not lie about the intentional effort or action that it takes to manifest anything that you want and desire in your life. I do not believe that you need to burn out or that you need to die in any capacity to feel good in your life. That's actually the complete opposite. So this hat, to me, go fast, don't die, doesn't mean go fast, like hustle and just keep going fast. It means getting out of your own way. Stop overcomplicating everything. Stop overthinking it. You're still going to overthink things, but just being mindful and taking ownership for your thoughts and the life that you truly want to be living. The don't die part to me. So if anyone is familiar with my work, my book is coming out in March. We'll have some special things coming out in February. And it's called Dying to Be a Good Mother. And through the time that I've been doing this work, yes, getting diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, but really understanding that we don't have to physically die in order to die. Does that make sense? Like your spirit can die, your passion. Like I've heard so many people say, Heather, I've been in go, 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 go mode for so long. I can't even feel anymore. Like I'm just this rat on the hamster meal the hamster wheel. So what part of yourself do you feel like you are allowing to slowly die? It could be your passion. It could be your spark. It could be your playfulness. It could be your mind. It could be your creativity. It could be your bank account. What part of you feels like it's dying? And what part of you, for those, because I see a lot of clients in here, and for people that I know have been following me and regardless doing this work, what part of you do you feel like you have brought back to life? It's like a fire, right? You're like, oh, the coals are hot. But there's a little tiny flame. You have to put oxygen and energy and attention on it. So I want you to post that in the comments while I get you the page if you want to download the PDF that I'm talking about. Or if somebody has it. Let me see here. I know I can find it quickly. And maybe you have to think about it for a moment. What does, and why are you accepting dying to be okay? Like, why is that okay for you? Why is barely surviving? How come you have accepted that? Here's the PDF. I have learned that setting boundaries is an act of compassion. Time to love myself. Awesome. I want to gain joy from doing certain things. Amazing. My energy is coming back. I've been working on making time for self-care. Awesome. So everyone understands this concept, but here's the thing. When you go to the next level of your life, there's a deeper level of healing needed, right? So when I started my personal development journey, parenting was my pain point. Parenting was the part where I felt like I was failing. I was yelling, I was screaming. Like yelling and screaming to me are actually two different things, where you're like, listen to me, versus screaming because you've just lost it, right? Not understanding how to, like, I don't even want to say manage my children's behavior, but not even just intellectually understanding my children's behavior. And I had a degree in social work, and my professional job was supporting families. So talk about being a hypocrite. And I knew it. And I watched everybody that I worked with do the exact same thing, accepting it as like, this is just life. But yet there was a part of me deep inside that said, not this, not this. I will not be this mother. I will not allow my children to remember me this way. And I was determined. And that was when I found conscious parenting. And then I realized slowly that it wasn't, yes, it's still about my children. My children are their own unique spirit, soul, having this human experience. They are allowed to experience grief and anxiety and tantrums and fear. They're allowed to have all of that. They're allowed to struggle. They're allowed to have resistance. They're allowed to not want to get out of bed. They're allowed to get out of bed too early. They're allowed to make messes. But guess what? There's a way to go about this without being controlling, without being mean. Here's the thing. If you implement any strategy in your life and in your gut, you're questioning yourself going, I don't feel that. I don't feel great walking away. Has anyone had that?
Like, ooh, I should apologize for the way I just spoke to them, or I should apologize for how I handled that. That was me every single day. And now that's probably me 10% of the time, where my children actually feel safe enough to say, Mom, are you off? Like, are you losing it? Like, what's going on? And I can stop and say, yeah, you're right. Let's figure this out together, rather than, don't tell me what to do. I'm up here, you're down here. It's a completely different dynamic. So parenting was my pain point where I was dying. But then parenting led me to my health, and then my finances, and every other aspect of my life. And it all led me back to this, which is understanding emotional intelligence, understanding how to manifest, realizing that every woman here has probably said in the last week, I don't have time. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you've overcome that story. And I was thinking about this morning. I was like, someone asked me for something on my team, and I was like, damn it, why didn't I get that done? And I quickly went back to the lesson that I gave you. I think it's episode 3 about time. And I said, Heather, how were you investing your time? I'm like, I just spent 2 hours on this because it was exciting, because I was avoiding doing this. Does that make sense? Legit avoiding high leverage action. And I cannot say I didn't have time to do it. I didn't prioritize, right? It's not the end of the world, but you have to realize you're human. If this is your goal and you're investing your time over here and over here and over here and over here and over here to avoid the goal, because fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, feeling good is uncomfortable. Having enough money to pay your bills and to go on vacation and to save and to write a big check to an organization that means so much to you. And you're like, don't worry about it. I made this happen this year. Wow. How dare you? Who do you think you are? We still live in a culture that does not value our voice. Courageously becoming who you want to be and how you want to feel, unfortunately, still is brave. You may not intellectually understand why taking care of yourself or holding a boundary is counterintuitive, counterculture, or saying, hey, I just had to get work done. No, I didn't answer your, text message right away. Or, hey, can you talk to this person? Or here's a resource for you. I don't have the capacity to have that hour-long conversation. And pissing somebody off. You have to face your fears. You have to chase your fears. Okay. Chase your fears. You have to look at them. You can't run away from them. And then once you become aware, oh shit, I'm living in fear. Even if you're like, everything's fine. But then there's that little part of you that wants more. You have to step up. And when you step up, more fear is going to come. And fear, what is your definition of fear? There's so many different ways that people define fear. So just write that in the comments below. What's your definition of fear? Morgan says 100%, has nothing to do with fear, but 100% doing exciting things instead of what is needed. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to get sidetracked. But you know what's not okay? When you've been sidetracked for a decade and you're saying, I just don't have time. And you're slathering those excuses onto you, or I just don't have the money. And we're going to talk about that later today. You're just slathering those excuses onto you. But to say, yeah, this was totally resistance. That's an empowered woman. It's not about being perfect. It's about choosing and owning your actions, which is episode, it says episode on here, but it could be like video number 2, lesson number 2. Owning your thoughts and your stories and the action or the inaction you take. Self-awareness is so powerful. Self-awareness is so powerful. And do you know how beautiful it is when your children get to a point, regardless of age? I've had so many people say to me, my kids now say, oh, I'm headed into my red zone. My oldest, who is 16 tomorrow, can say to me, I was an asshole yesterday. I'm really sorry. And I don't have to ask for an apology. And we can have a really good conversation about, why do you think that happened? And he could be like, because this and this and this. And it's just, you can have these conversations. There's no me proving. There's no me trying to fix. You're co-creating your life with other people, your children, your partner, your employees, everyone around you. This is about inner leadership. Okay. So, definition of fear. Fear, avoiding, numbing to avoid failure. So much resistance, that totally resonates. To listen to other people instead of myself, and then lacking courage to listen to myself. Looking back and not doing things I wish I had. To listen to other people instead of listening to myself. Fear is avoidance because I'm afraid of not succeeding. So I procrastinate because then I don't have to say I failed. Awesome. Stacy says, I took radical steps in 2020 to create the life I wanted. I'm afraid now that it's here, it's going to go away. Afraid to be happy or afraid of success. Yeah. Yeah. It's this vulnerability. It's like a little crab going from one shell to the next, right? You feel vulnerable. You feel raw. There's literally certain times in my growth where I cut out stimulus because I am so vulnerable. It's like a layer of your skin has been shedded. And then there's things that I do to compensate for that, to really overcome. Emotional growth is uncomfortable. You can do uncomfortable things. It's not hard. It's uncomfortable. Everyone gets annoyed when I say that. And some people are like, it's exciting. It's exciting. You have to turn your fear into excitement. But here's the thing. Why are you willing to accept? Humans like to be comfortable. So why are you willing to accept your current circumstances to be true? Like owning what's coming and knowing what's going to come if you don't take action because you're afraid to feel your feelings. So I've had many instances like this, but I'll bring you back to when the parenting thing, when my personal development journey really started. I looked at my child. I only had one at the time. And then when I had two, that was like go time. I really needed up my shit. And then 3, yeah, now I feel like I could just add more and more and more. It's weird. Anyways, 1 to 2 is weird. 2 to 3, weird. And then you just keep adding them on. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me, but everyone has their own journey. Here's the thing. I looked at my son and I was terrified. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was failing as a human. And so all the action that I took was from a place of fear, right? So I was trying to overcompensate, and that's what got me going. And then when the overcompensation burnt me out, I was terrified of failing at a slower pace, at a more aligned pace. There's layers and layers and layers. But I was more terrified of what was going to happen if I didn't take action. Does that make sense? So some people are like, how do you get motivated to do this work? And I think that's a personal question, because I never wake up and go, oh, I cannot wait to blah, 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 right? I'm not like actively motivated to do certain things. I now know the more I resist something is my quickest way to growth. The more I resist something is the quickest path to growth, because it's like the barrier is there to say, how bad do you want it? How bad are you willing to look at this limiting belief and overcome? When you think you're not capable, when you think you're going to lose it all, when you think people are going to judge you. And I'll tell you, putting out a book in the world that is literally, I feel like I'm standing there naked and afraid, because it is a very vulnerable book. And I'm terrified of my parents reading the book. They still haven't read the book. And I hope that they don't, but they will. And I'm scared. But guess what? I have to focus on the bigger impact I want to make. And there's no anger or resentment. I look at my parents and think, I am so incredibly grateful that you showed up as the people you could be so that I could rise above that. They may not see that, and that's okay. This is my story, not theirs. But I'm still scared, and I'm doing it anyways. Does that make sense? You don't get over it. You're not like, how do I get over the guilt? How do I get over the fear? And then I do. Can't tell you. Haven't figured that out yet. You numb yourself, maybe. I don't know. But then if you numb yourself with food, alcohol, drugs, Netflix, whatever our vices are, minus chips, you do that, then you can't feel the opposite. You can't feel the joy, the excitement when it comes in. Okay. I think we'll have time for maybe one brave, courageous woman who wants to do a live hot seat, who participated in Get Out of Your Own Way. So she is familiar with this process. She doesn't have to be a genius at it, but familiar, and wants to ask a question. The preface is, I am recording this and it will probably go on the podcast. So be aware when you unmute yourself. You are, I'm just letting you know for legal purposes. So just comment below. Yeah, my parents haven't read my book. I never have these conversations before I share my truth. I don't have to share their story, but it's my experience of it, right? And this is a question that people ask me a lot about my children. I don't post my kids online a lot, but they are in my book. Amanda, are you one of the brave ladies? Is that you raising your hand or just pointing the finger in the chat? Okay, perfect. I'm going to pick on somebody. Who wants to vomit right now, but they really have a desire to unmute themselves? That is when you know you're getting close to the ledge and ready to leap. Just do it. Just do it. What's your biggest suggestion on how to get hubby on board? My fear is that he is never on the same page. So great question. Now at this point in my life, I never expect another human to be on the same page as me. I actually don't want to be on the same quote unquote page. I've realized that part of why I feel different or why I want more or why I've committed to living a different life is because I'm not a follower. I do not want to follow the crowd. I don't want to follow the cultural expectations. That's just who I am. That said, I It took me a very long time to realize and accept that I would say, and I'm air quoting because I think all of you are here for this. I don't want to say a trailblazer, but you're a leader in some capacity because there's something in your life that you are not satisfied with. Now, in partnership, one of the biggest game changers for me mentally in my marriage was that we are supposed to parent differently. The male brain, the female brain thinks very differently. When I accepted that, I stopped trying to fix him. Now, our partners, male, female, whoever, are great teachers to us. They mirror back to us what we are unwilling to do ourselves. So then what do we do as the woman who's the rescuer, the fixer, the one that nurtures everybody else but herself? She tries to change him. She tries to change her, right? She tries to change them. She's changing them so that she doesn't have to do the work herself. Every step of the way, whether it was parenting, my health, money, time, energy, career, we have had so many uncomfortable conversations. And I will tell you, there was a breaking point in our relationship where I said, I am committed to becoming my best self without you. I had to get to that place first. It did not mean that I wanted the relationship to be over. But what I was saying is, I will no longer dim myself to keep you warm. Does that make sense? So then when I made that, and guess what? I made that, and every relationship is different, so do not compare yours to mine. When I made that decision, it was like, okay, I was never stopping you. You're projecting all of your fear onto me and trying to blame me for holding you back when you're really the only one getting in your own way. So I do me, I parent my way. And guess what? By default, by ecosystem, they automatically change. It is mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. You become the 5 people you surround yourself with, whatever that saying is. And in COVID, when you're surrounded with, I have a husband and 3 boys and 2 dogs, and one is a male, the female, her and I are alpha. We're like, we got this. Everyone else, guess what? Guess who has the most influence in this house? We all do. But I will not tolerate yelling. I won't tolerate disrespectful attitudes. I won't tolerate people not like invading each other's space. So I influence the energy. Even though somebody else doesn't believe the same way I do. Remember, they have their shit too. They have their wounds that they need to heal. They have the way that they grew up, the way that they were parented. They also have different internal motivations. They want to be the provider, maybe. Maybe they're afraid and they have no idea how to manage their fear. The male brain, the male gender was not taught that it's okay to feel. So sometimes when they're acting or reacting, it comes across very different. And we'll say things like, hey, let's talk about this. And it may take them 3 days to process. It's very painful, but it may take 3 days to process. But that is the duality. So that's my answer to your simple question. It takes time, it takes patience, but more than ever, my relationship has shown me every time I get angry or resentful or project, I need to become. And then you also need to hold boundaries, and you also need to have really uncomfortable conversations again and again and again and again. But what is that trigger really instilling for you? Is it instilling like, crap, I need to recommit to who I want to be, right? Like they get shaky. Oh, it's so easy just to be like, poor me, poor me. Coming back, coming back, coming back. And it's okay to have difference of opinion. So it's a complicated answer. Hopefully that gave you a little bit. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Who wants to go? Somebody unmute themselves, please. Or I'm just going to the next conversation.
Heather, I'm willing.
Yeah, yay! All right, Miss Jody, go ahead.
So I feel that a lot of things that you talked about, even just today, and really about parenting has been like a big catalyst for change in my life. I left a corporate job and decided to be our kids' primary caregiver. And I'm very thankful that I've had that chance so far. But I really do struggle with time management, I guess, and like trying to make sure that my bucket is full, or my cup is full, so I'm able to fill my kids' cup. And I don't often take time for myself. And then I do find myself getting like angry and resentful and not being the kind of parent that I want to be. So yeah, I've been trying to follow like your energetic time management and trying to set boundaries and actually following through with the energetic time management. Like I can like brain dump and talk about how I want to feel, but it's actually committing to the plan, the execution that I'm not that I haven't been very consistent with and very good at. And I feel like if I'm able to do that, that will make a big shift in terms of my life and my mental health and parenting and all those things. But that is definitely an area that I feel guilty, right? Yeah. Like I'm like, oh, and I know that I need to do things for myself. But if I feel like I'm taking away something from my kids, then I'm like guilting myself.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
so anyone who resonates with this that is in the Zoom room, just put me too, me too, me too, so that Jody knows she's not alone, because I think she's representing like 99% of the population. There were some things that you said. So we're just going to dive in. Okay. I'll give you let's try this for 5 minutes or so. And then I just want to be mindful of everyone's time. Filling your kid's cup. What is the belief or the story that you're telling yourself that your children's cup is not already full, or that is your responsibility?
I guess for me as their mom, I want my kids to have this amazing life and journey, and I want to be there to help teach them things. And as their mother, I feel like it's my responsibility to set them up for success and to help them have this really great childhood. And part of that involves filling their cup and giving them good experiences, a safe environment, knowing that they're loved, and basically fostering opportunities for them.
Is there any sense? Yeah. Is there any part of that, I'm just going to call it cup filling experiences, that doesn't serve you?
I guess if it boils back to time, right? I only have so much time because I'm still working. I have my own business that I do from home. So if I'm losing time for myself, things I could devote to doing something for me, and I'm doing something for my children instead, that creates, I guess, internal conflict for me sometimes, if that makes sense.
So give me an example of what you're doing for them that's creating that adventure and that experience that you want them to have in their childhood. Just give me an example of what happened this week.
What happened so here in Alberta, we were doing schooling from home. So even just trying to make their schooling fun, right? So doing what their teacher had assigned for them, but trying to make things fun, like taking them outside for gym and doing a scavenger hunt or,
Did that
something
bring
like
you
that.
joy?
It did, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is the belief that if you don't do that, then what's going to happen?
Ooh, that's hard. I think my belief is they're not going to have a fun childhood, I guess, is my belief.
So if you don't perform for them during a global pandemic as you're working from home and becoming a teacher at the exact same time, you have ruined their childhood.
Well, when you say it like that, no.
Mhm.
um, no, right? Like I know that there's a lot on my plate,
Mhm.
and yeah, I guess I just feel conflicted sometimes just
Mhm.
because like you said, it is a pandemic and I'm trying to really minimize the impact that it has on them.
Mhm.
Um, and in doing that, I know that sometimes things get harder for me,
Mhm.
but I just feel like as their mom that I'm supposed to be their buffer to protect them.
Yeah. Posts. Me too, me too, me too. If you feel any of this, because we're not alone. You know what's interesting to me is we project, and Jody, I just want to say thank you. Like you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position to actually serve other people. Um, we have these fears, we have these thoughts, and we assume that the person, the small child or teenager or whoever in front of us has the exact same worries and beliefs, right? I watch my children look at me after they've talked to a friend or was on social media or heard something, and they look at me and go, I heard that we're going back in lockdown. Is this bad? And I know in that opportunity, I have so much influence. No, this is good. You get to wear your pajamas more. We get to go on more hikes. We get to do whatever. But I'm telling you right now, I did not go to school to be a school teacher. And I am not willing to take on that role. And my experience and everyone else's experience is going to be different. Is it challenging? Yes. But when you have 3 children with 3 different learning disabilities and you plop them in front of a screen for 6 hours a day, one, that's already outside of a healthy learning environment. So my expectation, I have none. I ask my boys every day, do you feel loved? Do you feel safe? And are you fed? And their answer is yes, yes, yes. And I'm like, then take the fucking pressure off yourself. You didn't get that assignment in, or you didn't understand something, that's okay. And I'm going to teach you things that are in alignment with our family values and how we show up. But there is no freaking way that I am adding more stress to my plate to serve unrealistic cultural expectations of who I need to be while I'm paying the bills and doing everything else. It was already overload for women to begin with, and now we're taking on more. We're not even rejecting it. So do you see this common problem? Like, oh, I'm going to work, I'm going to cook, I'm going to clean, I'm going to do all of these things. By the way, I don't do most of those things anymore because I outsource like a mofo. And I know what mofo stands for, which is probably not really good to say. But anyways, my point is you up level your life when you're committed to the process, right? So if you're living in this survival mode of, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, you just start to like do the work. You're like, hey, next level, next level, next level, next level. And then you get to this point where you're like, okay, I can do this. I can breathe because I'm scaling my life, but I will not take that on. I actually laugh hysterically. Women saying, I just can't. Oh my gosh, my life is so complicated. And then a global fucking pandemic happens, and we gladly add another fucking sticky note to ourselves of who we need to be, not rejecting it, not saying, my child is not going to be logging in this month. We're going to be playing in the snow and making fucking noodle necklaces and teaching them things very differently. If you have an issue with that and want to put them back a year, we can discuss. Why are we taking this on? Fear of fucking up our kids. And then, along with this little sticky note, apparently I have sticky notes all over the place, along with this little sticky note of who we need to be. And Jody, I love you to pieces. This is not directed towards you. This is directed towards all of us, myself included. Along with this sticky note of who we need to be, there's like a little bit, okay, look at, then there's the yellow ones. I just make this shit up as I go. The pink ones are resentment, okay? So everything gets heavier. And so I'm like, yeah, we got this, kids. We got this. We got this. We can do this. We can do this. Yeah. And then we're passive aggressive towards our children. And then we have no libido. But we're just lying there to please other people. And then what else are we doing? Our bank accounts are draining because we're not focusing our energy and attention where it needs to go. And then we're like, okay, but I'm just going to look at everybody else. Okay, cool. Yes. Okay, cool. I'm on target. I'm doing exactly what everyone else is doing. So I'm good. I'm good enough. I'm good. Awesome. Oh, and look at these memes. Oh, these memes. Yes, they make me feel so good. Let me just pour myself another cup of coffee. You know what? I'm just going to grab that bottle of wine. Yes, Netflix is asking me if I'm still watching. Oh, okay. Well, everyone else is posting shit about this, so we're good. We're good. Awesome. Yeah, I've gained 30 pounds. Who cares? No big deal. Going into heart failure. Who cares? My blood pressure's off. My labs are fucked. Who cares? Who cares? I'm good. I'm a good mom. Do you see how one little action leads to ridiculousness? I apologize. I see children okay, good. There's headphones on. I need to stop swearing. So then slowly you take courageous action and you say, honey, mommy would love to help you right now. And I know you're frustrated. I need some time. I'm either going to lock myself in the bathroom, or I'm going to go sit in the car, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm taking a bath, and you get iPad time. Okay? I'm doing the best that I possibly can. Yes, I didn't make that dinner. I said I was going to make, I guess it's macaroni and cheese tonight, and it's not even organic. You're not going to die because I love you, and I'm really working on my energy, and that's more important. Oh, I'm just going to do that 10-minute thing I don't want to do for myself because I know it's going to be better. Wow, the guilt. Whew. That's intense, but I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel it. Oh, wow. My partner does not like that I'm creating space for myself. His shit is coming up hardcore. Look at that. Not only is my own guilt coming up and out like a big pimple, right? Like a big boil that, psh. Wow, look at his. Wow. Oh, he's uncomfortable of dealing with his own children's behaviors that I've been masking for all of these years. Wow, I'm going to go for a walk and let him sit in that shit because he's not my child. And guess what? If his mom has an issue with it too, she created the monster. All right. So her passive aggressive comments, oh, those are coming towards me too. I'm going to write that on a sticky note and burn that during the next moon ritual. Oh, yeah. Look at me. Wow. Now I'm releasing weight from my body. Physical weight, mental weight, energetic weight. Oh, look at those friends. We connected during wine and coffee breaks, and I gave that up. And even though I still want to be their friend, they're so uncomfortable. They're so uncomfortable with my energy and my ambition. Well, I guess they're being decluttered too. Wow. I feel free. I feel fucking free. And the opposite of that is also emotionally uncomfortable when I'm processing. Now, I get to look at my children and say, Mom did not perform today, but you know what she did? We had a random dance party in the kitchen, and we had a really intimate conversation about capacity. Even if they're little, you don't have to say my energetic capacity. No, but you just have these conversations. My middle one loves to read with me at night, and sometimes I just don't have the capacity for it. And I will look at him and say, I love you deeply. We're doing it tomorrow night. Hold me accountable to it. But tonight I just need space for myself. And he can try to emotionally manipulate me, be like, and I'll be like, I see what you're trying to do. I love you deeply, but I want to be all there. And that's okay. I'm not going to take on your guilt. I'm not going to take on, you know how to manipulate me, and I'm not buying into it anymore. I'm not taking this on. I'm just going to rip it off. I'm just going to rip it off. They are our teachers. They are our teachers. And I'm telling you, when you stick with it for a long period of time, you have your ups and downs and challenges. When you stick with it, you will see what you've cultivated and created in relationships. I started this process when my son was 4, when I only had one child, and he was 4 years old. I actually started it when I looked at him and became a mother 16 years ago, almost to the date. But when he was 4, I started really the spiritual up level, the emotional up level. Since then, I was just hustling, and still did hustle. But anyways, and now the conversations we can have, the respect where I could be like, not happening. He can still respect me, and I don't have to scream and yell and take away. He goes to bed. He does not sit in his room on his phone all the time. We have boundaries. We have respect. And he looks at me and says, Mom, you have no idea the lifestyle my friends lead. And I said, yeah. He's like, I know I could never get away from that shit. Understand it is possible, but you need to become first. And I'm going to stop because I want to introduce somebody. Last thing. Yesterday, inside my coaching community, we do a call called Mastering Resistance. And one of the women on that call, her family was actually gone for a week. So they left, and, you would think like, oh, that's great, right? Like, I just want a break. But then she's like, I am so uncomfortable with this space, right? I've cleaned, I've done this. I've done everything but avoid myself, because now that I have the space, it's uncomfortable. And she almost got in her car and drove to her family. So please understand that what we say we want and what we actually want are two different things. And unless you're willing to step in and do the work and commit time and energy, you will not see results, and you will spin and spin and spin and spin. It's uncomfortable, emotionally uncomfortable. But imagine being able to hold the space for your children and teach them the veil and the truth about what fear really is. Just a feeling. You don't need to act on it. You could just sit with it and be like, let's talk about your fear, instead of, oh, I need to protect, I need to overshadow to allow my children to feel the fear. Because the second they leave your house, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to do exactly what they were conditioned to do based on how you show up in the world. All right. So for those of you here, I love you deeply. I recognize some faces. I'm always here for a good butt kicking. And be aware that this is counterintuitive for all of us. It's a mental practice. I have to show up every day and recommit to my vision. I literally have to look at my books, planner, whatever, and recommit. And then somebody will come in and try to they're not trying to throw me off my game or my vision. It's just, they're being who they are. And I have to, recommit. You have to be willing to dig, sit in the space, ask yourself those questions. People ask me too, Heather, I don't know what I want. And I'm like, how much space have you given yourself to figure that out? So some of you are here. I see Mercy, I see Melissa, Morgan, Heidi, Diane, and Stacy. I see Stacy too, and probably some faces that I can't see with the videos off. But I want you to be mindful of who you want to become. So those people have worked with me, who you were before, who you are after. You can post in the comments below. Biggest takeaway. And I'm bringing not Stacy. I'm not bringing Stacy on. Stacy's probably like, what the fuck? Heidi, can you unmute for a minute? So courageous rewrite. I told everybody here that I'm going to talk about it at the end. And you can stay even if you're not interested in the program, because you're going to realize investment-wise what it really takes to get out of your own way, financially, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. So in Courageous Rewrite, which is the link there, I just posted in the comments, heatherchauvin.com/CR for Courageous Rewrite, and then the year. So heatherchauvin.com/CR 2021. It starts on this month, January 28th. All the dates are there. If you have questions, you can even text me, 313-710-5199. It's a phone number that I use for this community. It's not my personal phone number, so don't freak out. If you're like, I don't want to reach out, please reach out. It's for the community if you have questions about the program. The reason why I'm bringing Heidi on is Heidi Rumor. She is part of the community, but she is also a financial advisor. You have been doing this for 17 years. New podcast, which everyone needs to go download, subscribe, Ditch the Budget, correct? Okay. Yeah. And you are one of the bonus calls for people who sign up for Courageous Rewrite, which we've done this before, but it's called Empowered Money. And I used to avoid money like the plague until I got sick, and then it was all on me to figure things out. And I see such a correlation, and I think this is why Heidi and I get along so well, such a correlation with money, how we invest and treat our money, and how we invest and treat our time. And I love how Heidi really brings a feminine approach to money. So I wanted to just introduce you to Heidi and allow her to give your perspective around money, investing, and this I don't have enough. So Heidi, microphone's yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I've spent a lot of time working with clients, mostly women, around their money stuff that kind of comes up. And, I can design a beautiful financial plan for them. And then what tends to happen is they say, I can't afford it, right? I can't afford it. And this could be for anything, right? Whether it's a financial plan, whether it's a personal trainer or investing in coaching, it really doesn't matter. I think as women, there's a lot of data around this actually, but we are really worriers around money. We think about money in a different way than men do. And, if you have a partner who's male, that might be part of where, some of your money stuff might be coming from, is that you guys think about money differently. And one of the things that really drives women is this subconscious fear around being the bag lady, right? And maybe some of you can type in the comments if you resonate with this at all. But a lot of women, actually, it's reported that half of all women, have reported that they feel a lot of anxiety and fear around ending up alone and ending up homeless and without money, broke, afraid of losing it all. Yeah, so Morgan just wrote, afraid of losing it all, exactly what I just said. That is a very, very, very common fear for women. So when you follow different experts that are like, don't go to a restaurant and, if you have debt and don't do all of these things and save your money and make sure that you're being super uber responsible all the time. Like we have this feeling of, yeah, I do need to squirrel away my money because I don't want to lose it all. What if I invest it and I lose all that money? Or what if I spend it on myself and I squander away that opportunity for a coaching program, let's say? Or what if I invest in that personal trainer and I don't show up and something gets in my way and now I've wasted that money, right? And I think a lot of you are resonating with this. So, a lot of that is just around fear, right? It's all fear. And what I tend to find with clients is we just have to get control of your finances. Like once you can see that you actually can afford a lot of these things, it really does bring a sense of relief. And now I'm not talking about, the woman who is struggling to put food on the table, right? Like I'm speaking to most of you that are showing up to this call are probably not in that situation, right? But maybe you don't have a lot of money left over at the end of every month and you're thinking, how could I possibly afford to add, an investment in myself onto the plate? And what I find that happens is we're so focused on the amount of money that's left over at the end of every month in order to figure out what I can afford, quote unquote, afford to spend, instead of looking at where is my money going currently, right? Are there any money leaks that I need to plug? Am I handling my finances in a really appropriate way? Most of us are not taught this in school, right? Most of us it's trial and error. Maybe we've made some mistakes with money. I was just talking with a girlfriend who she told me, one of my first experiences with money was buying a $2,500 couch from Leon's with their Don't Pay a Cent event. And for a year, and then that $2,500 couch ended up costing me like $6,000 because I took so long to pay it off because of the interest that was charged. So a lot of times we're learning these money lessons out of mistakes that we've made. So it makes us very fearful around money and possibly repeating a similar mistake. So there's a lot of things you can do to really get control of your finances. Number one is, enter into Courageous Rewrite, get that bonus, empowered money. We're going to be diving into a lot of this, but I really feel like just identifying maybe some of your money leaks, really understanding currently where your money is going, it will be very, very, very beneficial to a lot of you. And really just understanding that you actually can afford a lot more than you think. It's just maybe how your debt is structured, maybe how some of your income flows in, how your accounts are set up. You might just need to rearrange the pieces a little bit and seek help to try to figure out everything. But I feel like most women that I talk to, they actually can truly afford it. It's just that fear of losing it all, and that investment in ourselves is going to be money that we're throwing away. That is really what's happening. It's not necessarily the available dollars that you have.
Okay,
So I don't know if you want me to add anything to that, Heather.
I think that's good. And here's the interesting part. Intellectually, I know these things, right? But money is not an area where I'm an expert in. And we have to watch the blocks that get in the way. And you and I have had this conversation too, where it's like, there's shame or there's the fear that comes up. And unless you are the type of person that's like, I'm going to face the fear, I'm going to chase the fear, I'm going to sit with this discomfort, and I'm going to ask for help anyways, change won't happen. And the hope and possibility that which is what I think is different with you, is you're like, this is simple, this is easy. Really trusting the experts that you surround yourself with. And trust is that big, big word that comes up, because I wrote it down here around, I think it was when Jody was asking question, like when we did the hot seat with her, and I could probably spend an hour there, is trust. Like trusting the process, trusting that you are capable. I mean, I don't know how many times I've taken the leap in any area of my life and truly, one, did not believe that change was possible. Like that fear of change was just gripping on. But I took the leap of faith anyways. And I made a promise to myself, like, just show up for the calls. Just, commit 10 minutes a day. And then slowly, I'm like, change is happening. So sometimes, we're waiting for the magic to show up. And regardless if you are ready for money to be your thing or not, you don't have to show up to that call. I mean, there's so many things I do, and then there's opportunities, and I'm like, I got 20% of it and it transformed my life. I trust that whatever you get is exactly what you need. And I'm sure you experience that as well, Heidi, when you're working with people. Like you see the whole possibility for somebody, and it was like they just took step 1 or step 1 and 2. And it's like, all right, next. When you're in it, you can't see it. And being able to surrender and trust somebody outside of yourself is the magic. This is not about, like Heidi said, if you can't put food on the table, you got to get your basic human needs met. And then reinvest, and then reinvest, and then reinvest. We invest in our children. We will literally cut off our arms. We'll cut off our limbs. We'll do anything for our children except look at ourselves. How we invest, typical, save your whole life, save their whole life for their post-secondary education. And then your child's like, Mom, Dad, whoever, I want to have a gap year. I want to do this now. And you're like, no, my beliefs that I had for you and my expectations of who you need to become. And it's like, calm down. I would be like, calm down. Can you reinvest that money in yourself? Because your projection of who I need to be is actually pushing me away. It's like we're overcomplicating it.
And I think too, with that, it's a lot of what we've been taught around money. It's like, make a budget, right? Make a budget. And then what happens is you don't stick to that budget, and then you beat yourself up because, oh man, I made this budget and that was going to solve all my problems. But you're blowing your budget every single month. But what do? You just keep doing a new budget, and it's like, it's not working for you. But why? So I feel like we're just so resistant to have, I think you're right. Like you need sometimes somebody else to look in to say, why is this in your budget? Or why is this part of your framework of what you think is going to help you? And when you're like, I don't know, it's just, that's what it's always been. And that's what I've always done. And I feel like that's what we hear constantly is make a budget. That's a huge thing in our society. And I'm kind of anti-budget because budgets don't work for the majority of us, because money is so emotional, as is most things, right? Like we spend money with emotion. So you really need to get a handle on the emotion part of money to really be able to manage it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
I have some questions for you. One of the main questions that I get is, or hear women say is, I make really good money, but I also am still carrying a lot of debt. Which one do I pay down first, right? Like pay down the debt and then start living, and then start investing in yourself. So I want to answer that question. But before everyone wraps up, because we are over time. So if you're interested in Courageous Rewrite, I just want to give you a quick overview of what it is. And then you can still hang on to the remaining gems that Heidi's going to be talking about with money and mindset and all of that. So Courageous Rewrite is, you, again, go to the website. I'm going to just put it up here. Oh, it's right here. heatherchauvin.com/, CR 2021. This is what the page looks like. Working mom, doesn't matter who you are, stay-at-home mom, juggling it all. Here's the point. This is the page. So if you're on this page, you're in the right place. We're talking about energetic time management. We're talking about boundaries. We're talking about drama-free relationships, emotional intelligence, which is what Heidi was just saying about the emotion of money. It's like the emotion of time, the emotion of parenting, and really how to take action. So the way that I have structured this is we have a two-part workshop. So the first day is the Thursday, the second day is the Friday, and then there's Q&A after that, and then we have our bonus calls. So the Thursday, we're talking about what is that next level vision for you? The response that I receive from people is, 1, I don't know, or I know what that is. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you don't know, I'm going to show you how to do that to pull it out of you. 1, investing in yourself, you're already making a commitment to get closer to the vision. You're like, I'm committed to this. 2, if you're investing the time, meaning creating the space, you're getting closer to that. Or, and again, if this is not in alignment for you, you don't need to join. There's no pressure. You are an independent woman, right? But I'm just trying to give you my perspective on what I have had to experience myself. I can buy something, but if I'm not showing up for it, I'm not going to see results, right? Like you don't just swipe the Visa and then all of a sudden magic happens. You have to take the action. But when you show up with a perfectionist mindset of like, I need to know what action to take, no, just show up, learn, grow, ask questions. So the Thursday, we're getting super crystal clear on what it is and how you want to feel in your life. We're so conditioned to know how we don't want to feel. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Great. What do you want? And that takes space. That takes inquiry. And that takes vision. So we're doing that on Thursday. And then Friday, we're taking that vision. It could be 30 days from now. It could be a year from now. And then I'm teaching you energetic time management. Now, energetic time management, if you have been in my world for a while and a client of mine, is a rinse and repeat process. This is not a one and done, right? Some resist it greatly. Some it's like, this is exactly what I needed. I've been teaching this. He's going to like go on the carpet. I've been teaching this for years and I still resist the process. It's a tool. This is not a one and done. And that's the beauty of it. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So then we take the vision and then you do ETM, energetic time management. And then we have 4 Fridays, Q&A, right? So now you're like, I don't know the how. I'm going to ask those questions. I'm going to learn. I'm going to keep refining the process. And then we have the 2 bonus calls after that. The one is with Heidi, Empowered Money. And we're going to survey you. What do you want to know? Where what's coming up for you? So we'll tailor it to that. And then the second one is understanding your child's behavior. So I'm going to teach you this process, right? And then we're going to gear it towards parenting because a lot of you, some come to me for parenting and I'm somebody who's going to say, listen, this isn't a parenting course. This also isn't a time management course. This also isn't a how to set boundaries course. This is everything. This is you feeling content, fulfilled, and alive in your life. So if you're interested, you can go to the website, you can register now, and then it will close then. Okay. Heidi, can you answer that question for me?
Yeah. So the question was, what was it again? It was, I make a great income. What should I do? Should I pay off debt? Should I invest? Should I save? What do I do?
Yeah, because women, it's like this robotic, like templated Dave Ramsey eat beans and rice thing, but then there's no living component of it. And then people end up binging.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I think logically, like if we relate it to health and fitness, right? I think logically we know you eat well, you exercise, you will be in a healthy weight, right? I think especially if you have weight to lose, right? There's a formula there. But what that formula doesn't take into account is emotion. it doesn't take into account, wow, my husband's birthday is today and I want to have the cake, right? It doesn't take that into account. The same is true with our finances, right? So to answer your question, you need to really define what you want financially. What is your financial goal? The short term, the medium term, the long term? And then what we do is we look at, if in the short term, let's say you're holding a lot of debt, but yet you still, that hiring in maybe some help around the house is something that will greatly improve relationships with your family, because now you're as women, if you have kids that are at home during the pandemic, like you're probably doing the triple shift, right? You're doing your own work, you're doing your mom life, and you're also doing like the housework and all the you're doing the mom life, which is the housework and everything, like the mom stuff. And then you're also doing the teacher work. So it's like this triple shift that we're under. And I feel like we have so many balls up in the air that when it comes time to the weekend, if the last thing you want to do is, clean your house, and you want to actually spend that time outside with your family connecting again, that might cost you money to hire somebody to come in and be able to do that for you. So if that is one of your short-term goals, to really alleviate that, because that's going to help your household run, but yet you have debt, what do you do? And I feel like that is really the questions that don't get asked when you look at a traditional budget. It's like income minus expenses, there's your budget, right? It's not rocket science, it's the formula. But what is really needed is, what is your goal? What do you want? And then we tailor your cash flow to make sure that we can achieve those things that you want. Because I really don't think when we look back on our life that we're going to say, wow, it took me 10 years to get out of debt, right? Versus it took me 9 years and 8 months to get out of debt. Like, who cares, right? That extra time might be, but man, we took that epic family vacation, or we spent time at the cottage together. I was able to work less, take an extra week of vacation, and actually take a vacation, because that was really important to us financially to be able to do that. So I think it's not a cookie cutter answer. When somebody makes a good income, that's the majority of my clients, they make good incomes. There just isn't the cash flow there to really do the things that they want to do. So we have to really look at, what do you want? And where's your money getting blocked, right? So where are your money leaks happening in your finances? And that's really what we look to do. And we're going to solve some of that during the bonus call.
I love that. Yeah, the how is where the magic happens, and then dealing with the emotional discomfort, resistance, all of that. Yeah, on my podcast, I talk a lot about like my money story, and that was very uncomfortable. And it was just all my resistance. But now it's like, I love it. I love looking at it. I see the value in it. Isn't that weird? I see the value in money, but I also see the impact I can make with it. Like, giving more, especially during this time, which has been magic. Okay, Heidi, I just had this thought. I was going to wrap it up. I'm going to grab my little weird sign that my husband gave me for Christmas to just make a final point. But can you just let everybody know where to find you, connect with you? I know you're very approachable. Send you a DM on Instagram if they want to follow you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll type it in the comments, but on Instagram, I'm at Heidi Rumor. And I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook community called Fitness and Finance, because the two, I believe, are really connected. How we invest in our bodies and how we invest in ourselves financially, I think, are very correlated in our tendencies. Emotional eating, emotional spending, it's all wrapped in. So you can find me on Facebook, Fitness and Finance. And my podcast is called Ditch the Budget.
Love it. And I love how on your podcast, you're standing there like holding a latte, because it's just it's these beliefs and stories that we've been bought into, that you need to get rid of things that bring you joy. It's different if you're doing it from a place of like not preparing or something like this. But if I'm like holding this, it's just intention, right? If I'm holding this, I'm like, this brings me so much joy. But if I'm just chugging it back because I'm subconscious or unconsciously doing it, it's different. It's different. It's the energy you put into your life. So everyone, we're going to wrap it up. I really appreciate you spending this additional time with us because, again, I feel like time is more valuable than money, and I honor all of you who stuck around. So just going off of how I started it with my shirt, this weird Instagram buy, chase your fears, go fast, don't die. Go fast, don't die means get out of your own way and don't kill off parts of yourself to do that. So my husband bought me this, another Instagram find. This is just my life, Instagram finds. This is a poster of life in weeks. So on average, if you live to 86, you have 4,000 weeks in your life. That's it, 4K. So I put my age in here, and then these are like the black dots. So every week I can take a Sharpie and continue this. I look at this, it's a visual representation. I look at this, and it doesn't matter where you are in your life. If you're like down here, you still have so many weeks in your life, even if it's a year, right? You have 52 weeks to make an impact, 52 weeks to change your life. Here's my point. You literally have one freaking life. One life. And if you have children or you're raising children, you have such a small window of quality impact. And then when they get older, you can still make an impact. There's some of you on this call who don't have children that live with you anymore. And you're still making an impact by changing who you are. And maybe it's not your children, maybe it's community, maybe it's somebody else, but what is your why? What's going to keep you going? What's going to give you life? Is it those shoes that you bought? Is it the extra crap you bought at Costco? Is it all of the, subscriptions and apps that you have that you don't even realize are sucking the life out of you? Just realign your life, realign your time, realign your energy, realign your thoughts, and keep going. And I'm telling you right now, the more you stare at what scares you, the more freedom and opportunity you have. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope this gave you a little boost today. And I hope you have a really good Sunday and week, and keep going. Bye, everyone.